Hey, how's it going?
It's going good.
So we're at the Red and Black Cafe, and you're here across the street from St. Francis, and I was just curious what's been going on here in regards to the houseless.
Yeah, well, this was one of the neighborhoods that the sweeps were centered on. That day, approximately a month ago, when Mayor Charlie Hales ordered the police to crack down on people and their belongings. It happened in this neighborhood 11 hours after a 72-hour notice was given during lunch at St. Francis. So a lot of people were actually eating, and they came with giant dumpsters and brought a lot of convicts who then took people's things, all their belongings, and threw them in a giant dumpster. So that's been the most recent big thing that's been happening. In general, there's a pretty substantial population of houseless people in this neighborhood because there is a Catholic church that serves meals to folks for free 6 days a week. And so there's lots of folks that live in their vehicles or just live on the ground nearby. So it was a pretty big deal when the sweep came through. There were just a ton of police cars. There was, I saw like maybe between 6 to 8 police cars at any given time, and they had a helicopter, so it was just this big circus. And then a whole wave of people were displaced from where they've been camping, and people kind of scattered for a minute. And so what's been happening is that people have been meeting in this, actually at the Red and Black, once a week to talk about strategies for helping each other, basically, like allies and houseless folks, in the next time perhaps that this kind of thing happens, or just routine police harassment. So we've been kind of working on upping our game with cop watching, and we put together a celly loop so that if somebody's being harassed by police in the street, they can text this number, and then immediately a bunch of other folks in the immediate vicinity will get the text. So we're just kind of working on tools like that to just sort of like make sure that more people are helping each other and kind of like aware of what's going on for each other, and people don't feel isolated. We've been dealing with a lot of tensions in the neighborhood between business owners and property owners and houseless folks. Like people calling the police because they feel scared, or because they just don't want people around. They don't want people like sleeping on the street, and they want to like get them to move along. And that's created some dangerous situations because some folks are just waking up, depending on what their history and relationship is with the police is. It could turn out poorly, and it's not a good solution to the problem. At the same time, there's a few people in the neighborhood that are reacting very, very badly to the large quantity of folks that are around needing services and who are unhoused, and they're in some cases organizing with each other to count houseless people, to lobby politicians to crack down, sending emails around to neighborhood institutions and going to the neighborhood group to sort of like lobby in different ways for, basically for houseless people to be pushed out of the neighborhood, I guess, the best way I would say it. So that's kind of what's been going on here in regards to that.
And you mentioned something that I haven't heard about is people around Laurelhurst Park complaining about people who are on Social Security.
Yeah, that was just a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month ago too. That was in the news just around the same time, and it was just like somebody, I can't remember, they had like a pseudonym, but they just made a bunch of posters that they put up everywhere that said that they knew like 15 people who are on SSI, Social Security insurance, I guess, disability insurance basically. And they said that they were going to out those people and let everyone know essentially who was leeching off the system or something like along those lines. They wanted to point out like who wasn't working and who was getting money from the government, basically. So it's just kind of I think it's just kind of indicative of like an extreme side of a general sentiment of just sort of backlash against, you know, other poor people that are even more poor than you are, basically, as you know, we've been in an economic downturn, lots of people are unemployed, lots of people have lost housing and are swelling the amount of people that are on the streets. So I think that's kind of the ugly side, and that reaction to that kind of stuff going on, and that tightening of the belts. When I think people should be, you know, ideally banding together, you know, and helping each other. But yeah, so there's that thing. There's this guy that's been emailing the quad. Well, it's a group, supposedly, the Volunteer Vigilantes for Victory Against Vagrants is the name of the group, and they're you know, they're going around at night, like they've gone around and like counted people, and they use really dehumanizing language. They're like heads of bums, and they just have all these disparaging things to say. And I haven't actually checked on the other end of this, but apparently they've been, you know, calling the mayor's office, complaining as much as they can to as many people as they can about the fact that people are camped out outside. And, you know, a lot of it's completely illegitimate. And then, you know, the stuff that has happened where it's like the camping ban violations, they're just being, it's not being like done in a fair way, you know, even like to the letter of the law, basically, they're enforcing it in ways that make it impossible for people to like follow what they're supposed to do.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I noticed there are some structures here across the street, and I assumed that if there was a sweep, the structures would have been removed. And I also noticed that there's a lot of stuff along the wall here of the Red and Black Cafe on the sidewalk. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, totally. So the structure is on 12th, and they did a really aggressive sweep, but they actually only swept 11th. I think they swept 11th from, I think maybe Belmont to Burnside or something roughly like that, and they did not do this street. I don't know if they planned to come back, they did not, or what, but yeah, it was weird. So the stuff that's next to the red and black is just like some of the stuff that was left from when people had to scatter, you know, because they did put notices up, and those notices were up for, like I said, according to somebody I talked to, about 11 hours before they actually executed the sweep. So some folks bundled their belongings and moved it, and this is, you know, we're not like trying to hold on to the stuff permanently, but we're just like letting folks store it there in the meantime as people kind of like scramble to figure out what they're doing, because the places that people were storing it are no longer available to them, or they don't feel like it's safe to store it there anymore, which is just one block to the east, I guess.
Do you think that it's safe for the children over there at the preschool to walk down the street? And what would you tell this guy, John, who went to the Buckman Community Association last night, trying to say that he wanted to make it safe for his kid to walk down the street there? What do you think about that? And what would you tell him?
Yeah, I don't really see a threat to children out here. You know, I think what John should do is that he should introduce himself to the folks that are living in the streets. It's not like totally rotating random cast of characters. It's like people that are here for a while, that are our neighbors, that, you know, basically you can work with if you can talk to them and treat them as equals and as human beings. I think that's really important in order to, you know, to develop rapport, and just sort of like talk to folks, you know. And then of course there are people, you know, like housed and unhoused people that are just very antisocial in whatever way, and sometimes in those cases we need to come up with a different solution, which might involve, you know, like selectively excluding people or telling people that they can't come around certain places. Like we definitely have folks, you know, at the Red and Black that have, you know, cross different lines and they don't come, they're not allowed to come into the space. So that's something too. If there's specific people that John is concerned about or that he's seen do, you know, violent things or threatening things, you know, like we should be able to address that as a community by, like, you know, talking to those people. But I don't think we should come up with policies that make it very difficult for people who are already having a difficult time, because living outside sucks. It takes a lot of energy and work. You know, compounding that by like harassing people with rules, basically. That, frankly, dangerous people can break those rules anyways, and I don't know that they make anyone safer. And especially like when it comes to the sweeps and stuff like that, I don't think there's going to be a way to displace folks until people either have housing or, you know, or I don't know what. But I mean, there is nowhere for people to go, you know, so it's not like it's going to be successful. And in fact, other places are, you know, other little neighborhoods near here have had police sweeps, and what's happened is it's even, you know, swelled the population of folks in this neighborhood. So I don't think it works to do that kind of, you know, action. I don't know if that's what John's advocating, but that seems to be the sort of like general idea lately, is that you can just like sort of, you know, punish people out of being in a certain area. I just don't think that's gonna work.
Can you tell me about the cafe here? You're one of the owners?
Yeah, I'm one of the owners. The Red and Black, it's a collectively managed, worker-owned vegan cafe and restaurant. We have lots of events, like book readings, film showings, music, stuff like that. And we're also one of the places in the neighborhood that's welcoming to houseless folks. So there's lots of folks that come in that don't actually spend money, that just use our computers or go to the bathroom or charge their phone or use a computer or use the Wi-Fi or whatever. So that's another feature of the restaurant. Yeah.
This is a safe space.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's a safe space. We're anti-oppression, so we don't tolerate oppressive behavior. We also don't allow police to come in. We want it to be a welcoming space where people who've had bad experiences with the police in the past can feel comfortable. And so we just kind of take care of stuff ourselves. We're open, until like late at night. We're starting fall hours, so we're open till like 10:30 until like 10 p.m. Every day. And yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Any kind of message you want to give to the world?
I don't know what else. I mean, the message I'd like to give to the world is just to talk about that particular issue, about what's going on with the houseless population and people's reaction to it. I'd like people to kind of pay attention to that, and I'd like to do something better than what's been tried recently, which is kind of draconian sweeps that don't do anybody any good.
You're right, Mayor Giuliani.
Yeah.
And I guess I do have one last question. You let people sleep around here, the Red and Black, sometimes, don't you?
Yeah, people sleep outside the Red and Black. Yeah.
You don't call the cops?
Nope, we don't call the cops. No, people are welcome as long as people are kind of observing the safer space rules and not being oppressive or violent. Then people are welcome to sleep here. We just want people to make a path so that the bagel people can come in and bring bagels. But yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah.